हेलो। तो इसको शुरू करते हैं। जस्ट अ मिनट। हेलो। हेलो। जस्ट अ मिनट। Just a minute, coming back. Okay, done. So now it's done. Needed to post on the Instagram. I have only one mobile at this time. So is anybody joining? We will still continue. Okay, so last time we did localhost sign pop-up. I didn't change anything, but there is an error now. It says Chrome is not supported. Why? Why Chrome is not defined? ChatGPT is not available. Gemini. Let's ask Gemini. Hello. So it says JavaScript module.export this. Of course, like you're getting a command ESLint program is not because strictly analyze you're aware of Chrome is a global object. You solve the I noticed that there will be issue in both content and background JS. Here are the changes you fix. So I don't need content JS here, neither need I opened the wrong folder. Gemini is Chrome extension example temp my app. I think this this one. This has sign in pop-up. And if we reload it, yep, this is working and always allow. Refresh now. Yep, Google sign in is working here. So now we are going to Apple sign in. So for Apple sign in, first we need to go to the certificates, create certificate. Which certificate will be it? Associate your website to your app. In certificate identify, click identifier, clicked, plus button, click service ID, yes. Description will be resume AI power dev. Identify, it cannot contain HTML. We recommend using a reverse domain. Sure. com dot resume AI continue. So register a service. Okay, enter the service ID, click sign in. Click enter the service ID descriptions and from the list. Okay, yep, sign in with configurations, subdomains, domains allowed. Okay, so I will write here resume AI.com and localhost. It must be registered with the HTTPS protocol, which I don't have right now. In the URL, after registering a new server, you elect to service ID and to complete continue save. Let's go to Firebase. Assert your website URL when prompt. Configure sign in with Apple with web. Okay. Copy this. When you get a project ID as a return URL. Okay. So pasted here, and now we are going to copy the project ID. Project ID pasted. Let's check if URL is valid. It is unable to be recorded initial state. This may happen because browser is inaccessible. At least browser is working, no issue. To use sign in the Apple, let users sign in the Apple compatibility website of their Apple to configure. Group your website with the existing primary app ID that enable for sign in. Okay, so do we have to register an app? Is it saying that we have to register an app? No app ID is available. Okay, so let's go to App Store Connect. Click TV Mac OS resume AI. It is English. Sure. Full access. Now we have created the app. Now let's refresh the service ID. Configure. it says no app ID associated. Let's register an app ID. Resume AI pal dev bundle resume dot this and click Apple sign in. Sign in with Apple. Edit. No primary ID is available. Server to server notification endpoint. STD website app configure sign in with Apple for the web. Following is the return URL. Register. App ID with resume is not available. Okay, go back. Resume.ai pal.dev. No. .ai.pal. Okay, so it is registered. App ID is registered. Now let's go to the service ID. Identifier, click, configure resume.ai.pal. Now for here we need to register our Firebase in return URL. Enter a comma delivered domains. Okay. HTTPS resume ai.com comma HTTPS localhost okay www dot one or more domains is all return URL must be registered with HTTPS including the URL. After registering a new URL, confirm the list you like to add to the service ID. Why? Just leave the whitelist. No, we cannot leave the whitelist. One or more domains are invalid. Resume AI pal is not invalid, it's there. Let it be test. What do you mean by invalid? Provide your domain and return URL will support sign in. Before you begin, configure sign in with Apple on Apple developers enable app inside provided for subject. Let's watch this.
Through a no step application to connect them. Show you how to implement sign in with Apple.
Okay, let's see if it's enabled or not. Sign in method. Apple not required for Apple.
So let me go ahead and activate the Sign in with Apple authentication provider for my project. One thing you need to keep in mind, if you use any other OAuth-based authentication mechanism, such as Google Sign-In or Facebook Login, Apple's App Store review guidelines require you to also implement Sign-In with Apple. There are some exceptions to this rule, so I recommend you check out the current version of the App Store review guidelines to be on the safe side. By the way, if you forget to enable a provider before using it, Firebase Auth will throw an error message when you try to sign in. That's one of the reasons why you want to implement some error handling in your app. Proper error handling will make it a lot easier to figure out what's wrong when things aren't working as expected. To make development easier, I recommend using the Firebase emulator. You can speak with your teammates. Everything runs locally, you don't run the risk of messing up your production data, and you also avoid stepping on each other's toes when you're I've previously created a user account out of the one to my login. Apple's default ID to prevent a function that takes a string of arbitrary.
Let's try the web. Apple sign in web. Apple sign in with web.
Sign in with Apple is considered one of the most user-friendly and secure emails here. You can just go about that confirmation here like this. Find sign in with Apple. So we'll check that. We'll hit edit, and we don't need to worry about the server-to-server notification endpoint right now. We're not going to worry about this thing. We'll hit save, and then from here, once that's enabled, we just want to go ahead and hit continue, and we'll just register it. So we have our bundle ID, and these credentials we'll need later, so don't worry about this at this point. We'll come back later and make sure we get everything once we're configuring to our backend. So we'll hit register, and that registers my app ID. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and create a service ID. So we can go into the plus icon here. We'll select service ID, and we'll just go ahead and hit continue. And here we'll also need to add in a description and an identifier for our service ID. So a service ID is something that we'll need anytime we're creating a web app that interacts with an Apple service, like sign in with Apple. And this just helps identify the website that Apple's going to interact with. So for example, anytime we're sent to that login portal to add in our credentials to sign in with Apple, Apple needs to know what website are we sending this information back to. So that authentication token that it sends back, where does Apple redirect that information to? So we need to make sure that we have our domain configured, a redirect URL ready to go, and this is where we can do it. So let's just go ahead and create the description, and we'll just do sign in with Apple. We'll just make that short, and then tut. And then for our identifier, we also want to use a reverse domain. So we'll just do com.tutdennis, and this has to be unique. So let's just do SI for service ID. For our Apple ID, we did AI. Let's just hope that works, and we'll hit continue. So we'll register this real quick, and we're not going to configure that domain until we have it, but if I open up my service ID, this is where we can do it. So if we go to sign in with Apple, we'll go to configure. This is where we connect those domains and subdomains and return URLs. So this is very important. We'll do this once we get there. So let's just go ahead and go back. We'll go into our developer console here. We'll go back to account. And under certificates, IDs, and profiles, we're going to go to keys. And this is where we need to create a private key. So a private key allows us to authenticate communication with some of our app services, like sign in with Apple. Okay. And we need to connect this to an app ID. So we're going to go ahead and create this. So let's just go into create key here. And we're going to call this sign in with Apple, and we'll just say main because it's going to be the main key. Description, we don't need to add that, so I'm just going to leave it there. And we're going to select sign in with Apple here. So we need to configure this. So we'll click configure, and we're going to select the app ID Apple here. So we need to configure this.
Okay, go with sign with Apple, reconfigure this.
So we'll click configure, and we're going to select the app ID that we created. So this is the first app ID we initially created. We're going to make sure that this is connected here, and let's hit save. Let's hit continue, and we'll just go ahead and register it. Okay, so at this point, don't hit download. So we're going to need this key ID later on, and we're also going to need the key itself, which is going to be downloaded as a file. So don't download it right now. If you do download it, you can just always recreate the key. Let's just go ahead and hit done. And once we're ready to connect everything, that's when we're actually going to get the keys. Okay, so now we're in the step where our projects may vary a little bit based on the backend we're using and the specific tools that you have. So what I would recommend you do is use the same tools that I'm using. It's going to make this so much easier. And once you do this and you want to connect to your own project, if you're for you to follow along. Is ready, we'll go to the auth tab here, and here is where we manage all of our users, and we need to go into settings here to go ahead and enable an OAuth 2 provider. So we see Apple right here. We're gonna go ahead and just hit enable right there, and this is where we need to take some of our credentials from our Apple developer account. We need to bring those in here, and then we also need to take this URI right here. This is going to be the callback URL that we're going to give to Apple so it knows where we're coming from. So let's go ahead and just check this out. So first, we need a service ID. So I still have my Apple developer account opened. So we'll go into our account. We'll go into identifiers, and let's just go into service IDs. And our service ID is going to be this reverse domain. So we're going to copy this. And let's just bring this into service ID. Our key ID, this right here is going to be inside of our keys. And we'll go ahead and grab that right there. And we'll paste this in. So it's just a little bit of trading back and forth here. We're just trading information, making sure there is communication between these two.
And now we need to
download the key. Then we're going to go into our entire account. And we're going to scroll down into our
keys.
Project information or our account information, and we're going to take this team ID right here. So we need to copy that. I'll make sure that my personal information is blurred out, and let's go ahead and paste in our team ID. So that's under membership details under developer.apple.com/account. Now, the last thing we need right here is going to be this P8 file. So what we're going to do here is we need to get the actual key that Apple generated for us. So we're going to go ahead and go into our keys. And this is where we're going to download that key and just bring this in here. So we're going to hit download. And I had some trouble getting this key because I'm on a MacBook, and for some reason my settings are a little bit weird. So what you could do is just go ahead and drag this key into your desktop, and you could just find it in your downloads somewhere as well. And if you have like a notepad or VS Code that you can open it up with, go ahead and do that. One trick that I found is you can just go ahead and just drag it into your browser, and it's going to open it up like this. And all you need is the actual key itself. So whatever way you find to open this, just go ahead and grab it, copy this, close this out, and inside of your configuration settings for OAuth 2 in your AppWrite console, go ahead and add that in. And then we also want this URI right here, and we want to bring this into our Apple developer console. So once we're all set up here, let's go ahead and hit update. Make sure you have this redirect URI copy to clipboard, and we need to bring this into our Apple developer account here. So inside of identifiers, we're going to go into service IDs, and we briefly touched on this earlier. So we want to just go ahead and open this, and in sign in with Apple, we want to configure that right here. So we want to connect this to the right Apple ID or app ID. Here, we can just go ahead and paste in that redirect URI. So this is where Apple is going to send that authentication token once that authentication process is complete. So it's going to send it here, and then AppWrite's going to take care of the rest. Now, we also want to configure the domain itself. So let's go ahead and remove everything after the double forward slashes. We want to get rid of that, and then we want to remove everything after IO. So cloud.appwrite.io, that's the domain. This is where we redirect the user. So let's go ahead and hit
we
next,
didn't have to mention the full resume AI part.
And that should complete.
We need to just register the Firebase, this part only, Firebase ID. domain.
the configuration process on the Apple side of things.
So this
Okay,
is
so
done.
now that most of our configuration is complete, it's time to build out our actual website and build in that sign in with Apple button and complete that login flow. So for this,
So let's see, can we do that here? So what we are going to do, go into the sign in pop-up, and we are going to, we have the provider. Yes, Google GitHub provider. I tested with GitHub provider, but Google provider will also work. And I will change this to Apple provider. Apple provider done. Oh, no. Okay, here. What was it? GitHub auth provider. We have Apple. Oh, sorry, apply. Not available. This is also not available. Let's check the Firebase documentation for this. Authentications, view docs. Sign in with Apple. This is done. Create sign in Firebase project. If you have authentication feature not required, I have to forward this one done. Enable the Apple sign in. Okay. Only OAuth provider. Okay. So this will be not this. Alright. OAuth provider. We are going to write here OAuth provider apple.com. This will be GitHub provider. This is also GitHub provider, no need. And we will add scope, email and name. Let's see. Apple provider, done. Now we are going to pass custom parameter not required. Now sign in with pop-up auth provider. So instead of GitHub, for now we are going to test it with Apple provider, and let's see if it works or not. Now we are going to open. I'm on a Windows platform, to be honest. Let's see. Okay, server is not running. Okay, we are Apple sign in is open now. That's nice. So let's try again. So I have to use OAuth from the Firebase app, from our extension here. It will redirect to continue app, and it's on the website we have to make first. Now we have to create a channel between a website and the Chrome extension. That some work is required in that. So let's try again, refresh it. Okay, our Apple authentication is working. It's not getting autofilled. .9 at Okay, so it's not getting autofilled. So we'll try later, but as a proof, it's working now. So now the next task will be we have to create our own site with this. So let it say we are going to do vibe coding. In the next session, we will create a full website. It will be a basic template, but the main feature will be behind the scene Google and Apple sign in. Let's see. Okay, so how much time is we streamed? It's been. Hi, is anyone watching right now? Say hi. Anyone there? 7 people have already watched, but that's fine. So we have been live for 36 minutes. Yeah. So today's task is done. Apple sign-in is working. In the next streaming, we will do vibe coding on our React.js website. First, we have to make website because this is our blocker to complete the authentication process, because authentication requires a live website URL. Okay, till then, bye.